What's happening, everybody? We're back. It's me, your resident supervillain, Mr. J. Washington.
And it's the swaggy Metallo, Mr. Winston A. Marshall.
We're here for the season 2, episode 4 review of Doom Patrol on the DC Universe. And if you ain't seen the episode, come on back because it's going to be spoilers. We, for some reason, decided that since this episode is called Sex Patrol, he would have no shirt on. I'd wear a cut-off sleeve t-shirt just to show all these muscles. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, so I've been out here in these streets, man. You know what I'm saying? We got to show it. No.
All right, Terrence Howard. I was ready for you to say, I'm down these streets, man.
On the streets, man. Doing all sorts of jail-style push-ups, man. You know, got to show it off, man.
This is
It's fine. Look. We already said that, at least I said this last season, that my favorite episodes were Danny the Street episodes. Because
it's proven, like, Danny the Street episodes are the best.
They're by and far the best episodes for a number of reasons. One, everybody is just letting their freak flag fly and just be them fucking selves. It's amazing.
Yes.
There's always a crazy level of character development. And without going after school specially, there's always like a lesson to be learned about just accepting your identity.
Especially the fact when Morally Corrupt is talking to Vic in the bar about how she was out in they've been out in the regular world and how trans women are still getting killed. I was like, yo, they went there.
And that's go ahead.
No, I was like, it was incredible because it's something that has been a big story as of recently that many people did not want to talk about. And so for them to openly admit it was like, you know, openly embrace it, shall I say, was great. And you might want to turn whatever light you had on back on you because you went completely dark. Okay, now you're there.
That's fine. It's because I'm here. I'm trying to look up. Okay, so that was the one thing I wanted to know. I wasn't sure who the showrunner was because obviously it's a Berlanti production, but it's not.
Yes.
He's not on it. It's Jeremy Carver. I'm curious, just as far as like, because I genuinely feel like, he also said that this season is about generational family trauma, which is what we said last week. Though I said specifically about kids, it goes
and
both ways.
Issues. But
it goes, or exactly. But it goes, or parent. I said it was parenting issues, and then it was kid issues, and now it's kind of going both ways, which is amazing. But one of the things that, again, I don't know, and it technically shouldn't matter what someone's orientation is that dictates a lot of storylines. But what I appreciate, and I do nod to Berlanti and his productions for this. Berlanti being a proud out gay man, like he loves to make sure that that kind of storyline and messaging is throughout his shows. Like we've seen it in Legends, we've seen it in Arrow. Is there one in Flash? Is there? Who?
The captain of the police force, Captain Singh.
That's right. I just feel, but I appreciate that because you're giving us representation in these major situations, and these major like shows. But Doom Patrol, I feel like hits it even more on the head than all the rest of those shows because
Larry Trainer is gay. Is openly is he was closeted.
Right.
He was closeted for the longest, and it was about him accepting himself.
Right. Well, and even what I loved about Larry in this episode, his whole like trying to get his game back. He ain't been flirting with nobody for centuries.
Can we talk about that? How when dude came up on him and he was like, I bet you real how to put these beds. He was like, yeah, if I take them off.
Yeah, I am. If I take them off, I'll kill everybody in the room with radiation. Yeah. And my brother was like,
I'm gonna go this. Wait, but did you pay attention to how when him and Rita was dancing and then Rita saw Flex making the cupcakes and then she just strolled on over while Larry was still getting his groove?
Well, because I think even though we just saw his powers to like set the party up, which we're not going to go beat by beat, we're actually getting better about talking about all the things that happen without just being like, and then this happened, and then this happened, and then this happened. Like, I think she saw the powers earlier, didn't really register until she saw the cupcakes happen. Because in my mind, you think cupcakes, you think like a dessert, like a treat. And all of a sudden she said, oh yeah, he can like,
well, because remember that episode last season when he made Danny Capital work?
Well, he made everybody. He made everybody on the street.
But that's what I'm saying. Yeah, everybody, but at the same time made Danny, the sentient street, even have one.
Well, but I think that she just remembered that it hit her, and she was, and the one thing, because she did ask, because she noticed that Flex has such control of his powers. How do you have such control of your powers? And he's like, you have to make your mind go blank. Which technically, and the other thing I like about this, if you ever been dealing with something like, say, with comedy, for example, and you get advice from somebody and it doesn't necessarily work, and you get advice from somebody else and it doesn't really work, and that realization kicks in. It's a mix of all of this shit, but it's whatever worked for you personally. I think this was that realization for her. Like, Cyborg wasn't wrong about using her anger, because then your mind is clear. You're just focused on whatever it is that you're angry about.
Yeah.
And so this is Flex explaining it in a different way. You just need to have your mind clear. You can't be thinking about your powers. You have to just be blank. Because what did he do? His mind was clear, and what did he end up doing? I can't remember. Was it the cupcakes or was it something else?
It was something else.
He did something.
Because it wasn't the cupcakes. What was it? I just saw it. I just rewatched it. And I can't remember.
I know you're literally in the middle of rewatching the episode.
I'm 6 minutes left of the episode, which is like actually 3.
What's funny to me is what it felt like with this whole Rita situation, because she asked Flex, "Yo, I need you to come and help me come a bunch so I can like get out."
Listen, I'm gonna tell you something. When she first said it, I was like, "Yo, Rita trying to get some." I didn't think she just needed it that way. I was like, Rita trying to get Flex to blow her back out. Like,
but to this day, the funniest part by far still is Diane Guerrero. No matter if she's Jane or Hammerhead, her fucking reactions to whenever she gets hit with the Flex mobile.
Oh, when she walked in the room where she was
she's like, "Oh, fuck!" It's just like ah.
That old strong face, like. So. Dorothy, the best part with Dorothy is like when she with Rita in the room getting the makeup, Rita was like, "So how old are you really?" She was like, "A 103/4."
Which is that 175 or is that 103/4 of a year? I'm trying to figure out.
See, and that was the thing I was wondering. I was like, is it 3/4 of a year? But I'm assuming it's almost 101.
That would be my guess too. I mean, what year?
Niles is 100.
Niles is how old?
Is 139.
Then that's the only thing that makes sense. She's 100. She's 100
she can't be older than her daddy. Like,
no. There you go. I mean, there's the answer. I don't know why I didn't think about the math by itself.
At first I was like 100. I was like, okay, but she's older nonetheless. The fact that we had to see. So first off, when Flex was like, "Yo, why the long face?" and she was like, "I look like this," I was like, "Oh."
Bro, I forgot about that. Oh my god, that was horrible.
Because he was like, "I didn't mean it like that." He was like, "Why are you looking so sad?"
But that's the other thing that I think is so interesting here. I understand Niles' fears, but you understand that kind of similar situation. I think about the Jedi. I think about any sort of like parental situation where they're so hell-bent and afraid of their progeny that they actually are kind of pushing them towards their evil kind of destiny to come out. So
remember in the beginning when we saw her under Danny, she was like, "I wish," and he was like, "Don't you ever say that damn word."
Yeah. I didn't catch it first. I was like, you don't want the child to have hope. And then I remembered once, what's the name of that beast that's always talking to her that she's like, "You need to shut up." Herschel. There it is. Yeah. Well, Herschel was like, "Well, like you're a prisoner and all that shit." Like, he's like, "Tell me what you wish for." I forgot that those are the trigger words for Herschel to just go ape shit. No pun intended. So I just find it interesting. The more I get his fear and why he's trying to stop Dorothy potentially from like going on a rampage, but at the same time, the more he doesn't treat her like an actual human, the more she starts to become this kind of evil animal that just wrecks shop, because he kept her in a prison. And I appreciate Danny being real with her and being like,
"I wish I could say I was just your friend."
But Danny's always been a real one. I love him for that. Or her.
Danny kept telling Niles, like, "Yo, she can't stay here forever. You realize that, right?" Like,
Danny might be the realest character outside of Morally Corrupt in the entire show.
Yeah, bro. Speaking of real, can we talk about the fact that Niles gave Cliff ecstasy? And
that was amazing, bro. Okay, so Cliff out here in these streets already mad he can't feel shit. And so Niles was like, "I mean, it's a party. Like, you want some ecstasy though?" And he was like,
he said it, he was like, "I could put it in your tank," and he broke it down to the actual chemical name of it. And
he's like, "I'm having an existential crisis, and you want to offer me drugs?" And he just looks at him, and then all of a sudden, Cliff in the band's like, "Yeah, I'm a robot doing a robot."
He was so fucked up when he saw Mr. Shadowy Mr. Evans. He was like, "Oh yeah, look at you on the wall."
Like, oh, bro. But let's talk about why we're here. The Sexmen. Okay.
Remember last week when we did the review, I was like, yo, just wait till you see the Sexmen. And you were like, what?
That was hilarious. That was absolutely hilarious. I'm curious now because it's HBO Max. HBO has its love for just doing these big ass orgy scenes. It was very reminiscent for me of Game of Thrones. No. Game of Thrones had one. Fucking True Blood had this massive like witch orgy in the woods. I don't know if did you watch True Blood?
No, but now I need to see it for the witch orgy.
Bro, with like season 3, I believe, there was a point where this like Wiccan woman came along and she was possessing all the humans. So the vampires were already like having an issue, but she got all these humans to have this massive orgy because their sexual energy was helping keep her youthful and further take over more people in the town. So one of the ends of the episode is literally all of the town's inhabitants fucking in a circle in the woods. What I'm going to be watching after this, bro. On top of that, the fact that like the stories that came out of the extras and shit like that, people being like, "I found my wife at that shoot and shit like
for
that."
real.
Some were bad. Some were coming back to some of the bullshit that happens in the industry where like it's supposed to be professionals and you have guards and shit on. And like some, like I'd heard one dude actually got arrested because like he actually tried to have sex with his female partner. But like another dude was like, yeah, like it would, God, there was a show about this where somebody was like a scene partner in porn and then they actually became like husband and wife. But like there's a real story of somebody from that episode. I digress. It reminded me.
That's the greatest How I Met Your Mother ever. The greatest How I Met Your Mother ever. But let's go back to the episode. So the Sexmen show up because they get a reading from Rita's orgasm. Wait, then they realize after Cliff tells them that Shadowy Mr. Evans is here, they start going down the hall, bro, when they see the sex go.
Bro.
So for those who don't understand, I watched the episode first, and I called Winston. I said, "Hey man, you need to watch Doom Patrol." He didn't watch it anymore. I was like, "You need to hurry up and watch it." And he was like, "Why?" I was like, "I got 2 words for you." He was like, "What?" Sex ghost, bro. The positions that was going down,
bro. The best is the one couple that was hitting on the ground and just moving through the house. That like even when it was over, we're still like,
Did you see the like upside down 69, the one that was being held up? The 3 somebody was riding somebody's face. I was like, yo,
dude, the fact that it got so intense that then when Shadowy Mr. Evans came along and was giving birth to this baby, remind me what it meant. If the baby whale, did all the children on the earth die?
All the children would die, and the world would just become a hell-filled hedonism.
My question is, what is technically a child are we talking about here? Like, would Dorothy actually die? Because Dorothy is like 100-something. Like, would Kate die? Because Kate technically is Jane, like her body, so she's an adult.
I need you not to try to justify.
No. I'm just like, look, if we're gonna make a sex-filled hellscape, I'm just curious, like, who's actually dying here? Do you have to have a high school diploma or a GED? Like, do you have to be able to? Do you have to be able to vote? What about like, is it like in the biblical sense? So is it like when you first get your period or something? Like what?
Like, where the fuck?
like I'm just curious. Like, what are they defining as an adult here? Like, this is important.
Also, when Mr. Evans is having the baby, Larry tries to sit Cliff in the room. Was like, Cliff, look, you're the only one that
can't have an orgasm. Well, thanks for outing me.
Cliff was like, 1, I'm high as shit right now. 2, thanks for outing me to the sex bit. And 3, you want me to kill a fucking baby?
Oh man, but I do love the fact that what put it into motion, because none of them felt like they could handle, which they couldn't. They tried to walk in and it wasn't working. The Sexman went in there and said, oh. And then I had to go right back.
She told her to think about potatoes.
Bro, I didn't know potatoes was a cure for not nutting. I'm going to try that next time and just think about potatoes.
I always go back to Martin Lawrence's Run Tell That, where that boss say he was like, 1 potato, 2 potato, 3 potato, 4 on the good ship, lollipop.
Bruh, like I just that I'm gonna try that. I'm gonna definitely try, like, because normally what I end up doing instead is I go to the same place in my brain where, like, when you're doing a plank or a wall sit and you're like, nope, this is it, put me out of my motherfucking misery. And then all of a sudden you tap into another part of your brain to be like, nah, we got to hold this. It's only another 30 seconds or something, except hold that however long until your lady says she's done, and then you can finish. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's.
I have the issue where I've told my brain, like, all right, bro, we got to hold this one. And then my body's like, all right, bet. So you want to hold this. Guess what's going to happen? It's going to be a minute before we get back to this point.
Well, that's the only sad thing that can happen sometimes is if you stop it, then you're screwed.
Because now my thing is, I'm good for her, but I'm mad at myself because I want to be done. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to be finished. It's just can't. But between that, the fact that Rita made Flex put his nose on the wall, I couldn't understand that part.
Because she didn't want him to watch.
Oh yeah, I keep forgetting she's that old school.
And that was the thing. It wasn't about sex for her. It was literally about blockage, which couple things that are interesting. First of all, a buddy of mine, Grayson, she plays Rita's mom. So we saw her in season 1. That's
your buddy?
Yeah. I met her playing dodgeball and kickball. So yeah, no, she I'm like super happy for her because she got to come back. Like, it's technically a co-star, but it's a reoccurring co-star. This is the second time she's been in the episode. It was also weird to then have her, even though she wasn't naked, to be in like a sex scene. I was like,
no. You know what that scene reminded me of? Forrest Gump, where Forrest's mama. Remember how Forrest's mama got him into school, and all you heard was the principal going, "Hey," and Forrest was listening outside, but instead Rita saw her mom, and Rita. First of all, can we talk about how Rita's mom looked at Rita, was like, "All right, baby," and then
no, she didn't. She was like. Oh yeah, she saw her daughter crying, and she was just like, "Go." Didn't say any words.
I gotta do this. She was like, "I gotta do this."
But the fucked up thing about that is that I can see two things really messing up Rita, and explains a lot about her. The first is she challenges whether or not she's actually a good actress, because it's like, she did it. She even said before, she was like, "So mom, like he's coming over for dinner. That must mean that's a good sign, right? Like I got the part." And she's like, "We'll see." And she's like, "Just focus on the things that you're good at," is what she said to her. Which was kind of haunting, and it didn't catch her at first until she saw her mom fucking the producer, which then all of a sudden changed everything. And then all of a sudden she you could see the tear because she saw her mom whoring herself out, but she also was like, "Oh, maybe I'm not good." And so this built this conflict.
And that's the thing. I don't think it was if I can take my guess, I don't think it was the mom whoring herself out part. I think it was the fact that she realized her mom didn't think she was good enough as an actress. I think it was more so that. I don't think it was the mom having the sex part. I think it was because again, we go back to, like you said earlier. I
only disagree with you for one reason. Remember in season 1, she herself was having sex, or was like tempted, or was the producer tried to get her to do that, and she was like, "No," and her blobbed out and fucking killed the old dude. Remember that?
That was because, but see, that's because of what we just saw in this episode. Now, if you're gonna go back, because now we see that that's how her mom got her roles, so she figures that's how she's got to get herself roles. You get what I'm saying?
I understand. I'm saying
I get what you're saying too. I get what you're saying too.
But I think it was a mix of both. I think it's both tears because I'm not actually good, but also tears because, again, it's clear she's old enough to understand what sex is because something's registering. But I think it's both that. It's the whoring out. And I think that's why, for other obvious reasons, but I think it's one of the main reasons why she is so adversely against it in the first season. I mean, anybody would be, but you get what I'm saying, right? There's a history of this that she's had to deal with, which, again, that's why I love the show. You're literally addressing these Me Too issues that you see, not just in like the business world, but specifically in the entertainment industry. The idea of the casting couch, you're attacking it directly, and the fact that Rita's trying to address it and move on from it. This whole episode is really about people dealing with their trauma, because even the underground was like, pulls Jane out. Jane's down there. She's not coming out and shit. And all of a sudden they were like, oh, maybe you're not so bad. Because they Cliff goes to
when he all high hugging on Jane, they was like, you can hide this shit.
Yeah. But like even before that, remember Cliff goes in, realizes the painter's there. It's like, we're leaving. And it's like, okay, well, where are you going to sleep? What you going to eat? He's like, I don't know. I just paint. And it's like, well, you'll figure it out.
Wait, Cliff was like, I don't think the chick with the fiery forehead can get pre-approved for a loan. Like,
that was pretty funny. That was funny. I forgot about that. But like, you know what I'm saying? All of this was again,
even Vic
to be able to deal with
more corrupt.
Like talking about oh God, what's her name? Ronnie. Yes. You know what I'm saying? So it's all. Any Danny episode is always going to be about self-acceptance and identity, and I really love that they decided to really like deal with this.
I don't know, I froze or you froze, but all I know was like it's all, and I just saw this.
It's all about coming to terms with your identity. You know what I'm saying? That's what every Danny, including Danny at the end, deciding, which I think is also a big metaphor for like gender fluidity and all that kind of stuff. Is the fact that Danny's like, yeah, I don't really want to be a street again. I'm not a street anymore. And Danny decides to be a tire. And like, we're just going to travel as a tire now. And everybody's like, well, Danny, can we roll with you? And he's like, yes, because my community is what makes, like, I learn from you. I get inspired by you.
I guess I kind of get it, but I'm just a little confused on the gender fluidity comparison with it.
Well, the fact that Danny's been a street, Danny's been a brick, Danny's been a tire. Danny's identity is he's gender fluid, or they are gender fluid. In the same way that anybody that is non-binary, like one day could be wearing, like dresses, one day could be wearing suits, and they don't really identify with a specific gender. I think Danny deciding that Danny could really be whatever Danny wants is like whatever feels correct. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what gender fluidity is about. Whatever feels correct to your identity.
No, I know what it is. I just was trying to understand in the comparison with Danny. I get you. Again, we see it so much out there, especially out here in Los Angeles, and when people we know personally. But I guess it was more so with the comparison to Danny that I was a little bit confused on.
No. I get it, and I would also say I'm obviously I'm an ally. I'm not an expert on gender fluidity or anything like that. So if there is somebody that's watching this and you know a little bit better, and we'd love for you to explain that more. I just found it to me it felt like a great metaphor for that, which a lot of times that's what superhero shows and movies do. You're taking what would be like a human, like a standard human idea, issue, whatever it may be, and you address it in like a supernatural way.
Right.
So like for example, like I think about like Iron Man and like all the stuff that he technically is like going through, or even what would be a better example? It doesn't matter. I'll think about it. But you guys get.
I'm still listening and learning. I'm just like, because at this point, I was just like, I guess, another thing is we were learning in this episode more of the imaginary friends of Dorothy's, because if you know Dorothy Spinner from the comics, she has a lot of imaginary friends. We found out the malicious voice is the Candlemaker, who's one of the worst ones. If you do research on the Candlemaker is one of the worst imaginary friends she could ever have.
So is her power specifically that just she can manifest imaginary friends that
she manifests her imaginary friends. Her imaginary friends are not just like Darling. Like Darling come home. They're not just like Darling. They're dangerous.
Yeah.
So you see that. Also, she was about to murder Danny. She was like, I ain't got to deal with this shit no more.
Well, because the Candlemaker told her, like, yo, you do realize you were a prisoner. You were not friends. You didn't get to go to no parties and shit. You know why? Because you were not friends. Which I gotta give credit to this young actress. Her rendition of Pure Imagination. Huh?
Her name's Abigail Shapiro.
Her rendition of Pure Imagination was phenomenal. I gotta give her a lot of props for that.
I'd like for you to. I'd like to introduce you to something too, which I would say yes, it's a beautiful rendition of Pure Imagination. I wrote a joke a while back about the first time I ever went to a legal dispensary, and I was in Denver, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when I walked in the door, I felt like I was in Willy Wonka's chocolate factory.
Okay.
It was like the bud tender came from behind the counter and was like, "You can have all this weed. You can smoke or you can eat it. You'll be high, you might fly. A tear will trickle down. It's okay if you cry. Grab a bowl, stuff it full, light it till you feel it in your soul. Sour Kush, no Reggie Bush. All these choices, just take a look."
So he actually did this?
That's kind of the feeling I had. That was.
Oh, I thought he actually sang this to you, and I was like,
No, I made
what
the
is this
song up.
dispensary I would like to
I
go
made
to?
the song up for the
That's
joke.
fair. That's fair. Okay. I genuinely thought he sang this to you, and I was like, what weed store did you go to, and did you go in already high? Like,
No, I wrote that song, wrote that joke, which I want to put out as a script, as a sketch, because I think it's beautiful.
I mean, that's fair. So what was your favorite part of the episode, and what would you rate this, man?
Oh, dude, I think it's hard to find particularly one favorite part because, again, you said it earlier, the Danny the Street episodes have just been so on. Like, this is an on-point show, but it's something about the Danny the Street episodes that just go above and beyond.
Yeah.
You know, from Rita, again, Cliff mentioned it, so we just not gonna talk about Rita's G-spot almost ending the world. So we're just not gonna talk about this. You know what I'm saying? Cliff saying that Cliff being high off ecstasy, Larry trying to get his groove back and messing up his groove, Vic being like, do I really need to be here with you motherfuckers? Dorothy being like, I am 103 years old. You gonna respect me, especially when she had the lipstick on.
And now it's like, I leave you alone for 5 minutes and you get into trouble, and it's like, no, I'm beautiful. Yo, wait a minute. But that last little part that puts Dorothy on this dark path where she's like, Rita, were you serious when you call me beautiful? And she said everything the same word. She said, we all have certain talents. You should focus on those. She said the exact same phrase to Dorothy that her mother said to her. And you saw that just, as they said about this season, the generational scarring, because she's kind of looked to Rita as either a big sister or even a mom surrogate, is now kind of kicked in. And it's only making Dorothy worse, you know. So
because it's gonna make her snap out.
Mm-hmm.
And again, you have Jane, who, first of all, shouts out to Scarlett Harlan, who shows up again. 64 personalities. I don't know who finally.
Scarlett Harlan was ready to leave. So like, yo, bitch ass painter can't leave either. I'm gonna get out of. What is this? Is this a sex party? We're gonna stay for a while.
Scarlett Harlan told Vic, she was like, "Hey, Cyborg," and then she saw the two dudes kissing. She was like, "I told you, motherfuckers, to speak." Like Scarlett Harlan was out here about it. Hammerhead shows up, like everybody was like, "Yo, this is a thing."
Bro.
But like I said, there's so much in this episode. For me, it's hard. It's again the sex ghost and Cliff. When he first see him, he was like, "I know I'm going to hell." But these sex ghosts are hot. Like he said that. Like he says that. So it's like, I think Cliff being on ecstasy for this episode was one of the highest things for me. It's just so much. Again, the real life lesson, the real life story that Morally Corrupt tells Vic. There's so much all around. If I had to give it a rating, I give it a 5 for sure. I can't tell you one particular moment, but it's a 5 episode for me.
I was gonna say we almost need to find a way to retool our ratings because we give out so many 5s.
Bro,
like it gets hard to we gotta sit and talk about it. I mean, I would also give it a 5. I would say my favorite part has to be the actual stopping of Shady Mr. Evans. So that whole Flex being like, I can't move, the potatoes, the fact that Jay be like, I got the shit move. Oh fuck! Like that whole thing absolutely killed me,
potatoes, man. Think about potatoes.
The fact that who did they send away? What, Cyborg and Larry got sent away? No, Larry came along. They told 2 of them not to come. Oh, Cyborg and Morally Corrupt. They told them to leave. But yeah, no, this was so far, this is my favorite episode of the season, followed by Time Patrol. Time Patrol I love that episode as well. Not that I didn't love this most recent Jack the Ripper episode, but
Pain Patrol.
It was okay for me compared to the other ones we've seen so far.
I think people need to. I've been reading a lot of people's critiques of Doom Patrol from social media and everything,
Mhm.
and some people are just like, "This shit is so weird," and like, I don't get. Like, that's the thing.
But that's the
like,
point.
like Doom Patrol is not a straightforward. It's not your straightforward superhero team up thing. It's not one of those. It's not one of those where you have a superhero team up and you have one or two characters who are kind of weird. This is the whole thing.
Exactly. The villains are fucking weird. The scenarios are weird, but they're so real though. You know what I'm saying? They're even more real, in my opinion, than a lot of these other superheroes that are depicted, like across the board. So yeah, man. Anybody that doesn't rock with this show, I don't know what you on. You smoking some.
I don't know what you want in life. You know what I'm saying?
Smoking some badish.
We want to know what you think about it in those comments below. So go ahead and like and subscribe on this video. Click on the notification bell so you find out we dropping more videos to the channel. If you've not checked out all the reviews we've done for season 1 and 2 up so far, there's a Doom Patrol playlist. Check it all out right there, all right? Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Mr. J Washington, MRJAY. You should know how to spell Washington. My Supervillain Squad on Patreon, patreon.com/Mr. J Washington. My $25 tier is one-on-one with the Supervillain, where either you are going to get a one-on-one conversation with me, or you're going to be on the episode of the whole episode of Mad Titan Podcast, where you can get everywhere you get podcasts from. I get you caught on Marvel, DC, live action, cinematic universe. You already know that. And Blerds in the Hood Tuesday with this flex there. So... Dum, dum, dum. Dum, 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 dum.
Oh, this one, right? Yeah, no, for sure. Definitely check me out at the Swaggy Blerd, THESWAGGYBLERD. That's all the socials. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. Mondays, game time with this fool and John Roca on the Outlaw Nation. Tuesdays, Blerds in the Hood, as he said. Wednesdays, new episodes of Positive Black People News. Definitely check that out. It's like Last Week Tonight meets positive news stories about Black people. So you laugh and you learn. What Thursdays, twitch.tv/the Swaggy Blerd. I have a show called Swag Back Thursdays. We play an old school video game and listen to a dope ass mixtape I put together of hip hop and R&B from the year the game is released. So we just did Batman Arkham City last week, which was 2011. So we got to see the rise of Young Money. And that was super dope. The vote is now, so if you follow me on Twitter, you can vote on the next coming game. And then, of course, the Schmodown. This will be out after Ace Cabrera's match against Laura Kelly, but get ready for other stuff that's coming that way as well.
Also, I'd like to say that Winston's lighting in the background and all of a sudden went to a sexy bluish hue. Like, this shit got real dark. That's so bad. Stop moving your arms. You're not supposed to move your arms. This is how
I can't control it. This is the best I can do, you bitch.
See?
There, I got there. Yep. Okay. Yep.
This is gonna be one of the videos I'll be like, yo, this is still up on the channel. Where like when I fully make it in my career, like when I blow up, like in 6 weeks, like 6 months. I'm sorry, because 6 weeks this shit'll be shut down again. In like 6 months to a year, when I fully blow up, you know what I'm saying? They'll be like, yo, what you on this sexy flexy talking about a goddamn comic book show? And I'm like, yo, it wasn't on.
You literally just say it was for Flex Metallo. If you don't know who Flex Metallo is, we can't be friends, and you walk away.
I wish I knew. See, I don't know how to use my Adobe Premiere so good. So the point I do like this, and just cupcakes pop up on the screen. Just.
I can do it. It's pretty easy. All you do, get an image of cupcakes, and then you just literally drop it. There's no entrance, so it just appears on your shoulder. That's all you have to do.
It's gonna be a lot of cupcakes this month.
Oh my god.
All right, so we will holler at y'all next week. Till then, take care. We'll have shirts on.
Unless Flex Metallo is back. I mean, you know.
This motherfucker gonna be in a leopard thong.
We out here. Deuces.